Hi everyone, I'm Allie with PotomacBeads, and today's Better Beader episode is going to focus on how to unblock some of those stubborn holes that are clogged maybe with coating or glass or gemstones, and kind of what to do and what not to do. There's a number of different materials obviously that we're talking about, and that's going to influence which tool you use, which method, and when to say, no, it's not worth it, I'm going to break my bead. So how are we going to deal with unclogged holes? Let's check it out. So the most common findings for things that are missing holes or have blocked holes generally are going to be multi-holed beads. Round beads, crystals, gemstones, most of these are going to come off a strand, so they're going to have holes already in them. You're usually not going to have to worry about unclogging or unblocking a hole, especially if it's like a gemstone that comes off an actual strand, because you know the hole goes the whole way through. The places that you'll more likely see holes that are blocked are going to be on multi-holed beads like super duos or tiles, and not so much on seed beads generally speaking, although there are a couple occurrences, and we'll go over that, when you're going to find seed beads that have blocked holes. There's also those holes that when manufactured in metal, you're going to have kind of shrapnel or additional little metal stuck inside. So to start out, let's talk about gemstones. Gemstones, or a natural material like pearls, generally are going to come off a strand, so you're going to know that they have a hole. One thing sometimes that is a little bit hard is if you do get some of that string material stuck inside. The main tool that I would recommend getting is this tulip beading awl. And the tulip beading awl is a great super fine point. I don't want to press on it. It comes with a little plastic sleeve that goes on it. You can use this to unclog and basically run that sharp edge along the kind of exterior of the holes on either side to get if there's any little kind of price tag stuck in there or anything else stuck in there. With the pearls and with the gemstones, if you push too hard because they are a natural material, this is going to be the same for glass as well, you can shatter the bead. One thing to think about is it worth it, and is it a risk to go ahead and shatter that bead? A lot of times at the end of pearl necklaces, older necklaces, they may have glue that is inside of it. You can put a little acetone onto the tip here, roll it in a little bit of cotton, and kind of try to push through and get some of that glue out of the pearl. I have here a beading awl, which is going to be different than a bead reamer. The beading awl does not have any filing or any roughness around the edge. This is also great for learning to do bead knotting. But where this differs from the actual beading reamer versus a beading awl is that it doesn't have that file on the end of it. I prefer that because generally speaking, if I need to file anything on the interior of a hole, chances are it is going to snap or break. This one here, I love that fine point of the tip. Most of the times you're going to see, again, that blocked hole is generally going to be on check products. Most of the time that this occurs, it's because of the manufacturing process. Beads are tiny, beads are small, and it's going to be really, really hard to catch them quality control for all of them. Sometimes you're going to have the occurrence where there's just not a hole at all because of the way that it was molded or that it was actually pressed through the pressing machine. The glass did not cool and have enough time to cool, and that hole basically closes up from the actual form that it was from coming out of the basically mold. Most of the time with the check glass, you will see that a hole is there, but it's almost clogged or you can't see it. Sometimes it's going to be, and I use the cup buttons that I've been saving beads for weeks trying to do this Better Beader, but most of the time it's going to be the coating. So this Aztec gold coating here is covering the hole of this cup button. I have a size 10 needle here, as well as my reamer. My beading awl. The size 10 needle generally is thick enough and easy enough, and let's see how good I am, that I usually can kind of poke the actual finish or that coating that goes over the glass. You can see I'm kind of working it around through the bead. So that one wants to be a little stubborn and stuck. I'm going to go ahead with my beading awl here, and if you listen carefully, you hear kind of that little snapping. That is trying to kind of go around and break down the coating of the bead that's in there. Sometimes in the tumbler or in the section, you'll need to go from one side to the other to figure out basically how that either little piece of glass that is stuck in there, I call it shrapnel, or the coating that is stuck in there is stuck. So you might need to go in from one end and go in from the other. Be patient with your blocked holes of your beads, because usually you can get them out pretty easily, but you don't want to force it and then break your bead. So you can kind of hear that going. I'm breaking down the coating that is stuck in there, and now I have my bead hole. So I was easily able to do that on the cup button. Sometimes you'll have a bead where the hole is just not there. It cooled too fast or cooled too slowly, and this is generally going to be when the glass is that color itself. That's when you're going to be less likely to be able to block the hole. So here in this opaque blue, this is the color of the glass, and you can see that there's really going to be no getting out or reaming out or taking the beading awl and pushing through. It's a wasted button. Maybe you can do something with the one, glue a crystal in there, but if you don't mind breaking it, you can give it a try and try to get through and break down that piece of glass in the middle, especially because I can see a little bit of a hole in there. The other thing that you can do and that you want to make sure before you do any project is, if you can, it's great to get a light table. You can lay all of your beads on the light table and see right away which beads have holes and which may need, just right there, I was able to get that little piece out really, really easily. See which pieces have holes and which ones may need a little bit of attention if you're going on there. Generally speaking, one hole you'll have no problem. 2 holes, you have more of a chance for one hole to be blocked. And then again, adding up, you'll have more and more chances for holes to be blocked. You can see I was easily able to push that little tiny, tiny piece of green out there as well on this round duo bead, because again, most of the time it is the coating and not just the glass not cooling and kind of closing back up. Here on the Telos bead, which is the new Polka bead, there is 4 holes. So you're seeing how I'm kind of going through here, and I know this one was blocked, that's why I've had it and collected it. And I'm going to go into both sides originally, see which side is kind of the culprit and where I can go into the hole and can't. I can't go into that side. I can go further in here. So unlike a reamer where I'm going to spin that, I'm just kind of pushing along the sides and seeing if I can break down the coating that may be blocking or the piece of glass that may be in there. You can see I was easily able to do it then, and now my bead is usable again. This is an awesome little tool to work with. Now sometimes you will get Duracoat products or perma-finish products in the Japanese seed beads that have blocked holes. This is because that Duracoat or that perma-finish on the actual glassed beads is an extra clear coating that sometimes gets applied a little thick, and then you'll have those holes blocked. Generally with the seed beads, I go through and kind of check, but if you're getting your needle through one time, you're generally not worrying about that second time. You're going to be able to get it through. You do want to make sure that when you are picking up some of those Duracoat seed beads, to make sure that the holes are kind of not completely closed. You'll notice right away if it is completely closed because you won't be able to get the needle onto that bead. Additionally, sometimes with those Duracoats, the holes will be smaller because of that clear coating, and you can usually kind of push right through that seed bead. Now you sometimes will have metal beads that are the same kind of situation, that it has another piece of metal lodged into it, or it has a metal with the casting that it just did not get the hole the whole way through. Again, sometimes you can take this awl, poke through it. Sometimes you can get your metal reamer. I don't worry as much about the metal beads working with the reamer. The other thing that you can do sometimes is grab a pair of needle nose pliers, hold on to the section that is stuck, pinch that together, which sometimes will make that little bead or that section just tiny enough that you can pinch it out. Every once in a while, and this is kind of a as seen on TV sort of a deal, every once in a while you'll have a one that you just can't get them out. You can break the beads on either side, but that one is stuck. There will be some wounded soldiers when it comes to beads. They're tiny, they have small holes, and sometimes you just won't be able to get that hole through. Now, keep in mind, if this is one bead in a whole tube of seed beads or a whole tube of super duos, do not be surprised. We actually usually include extra beads or under count because this is a side product of working with some of these small holed beads. It's just a process and the way that the material that we're using works. So don't be surprised if you do have clogged holes. Like I said before, you do want to go back and check all of your holes on your project so you don't string a whole bracelet or a whole peyote piece with your super duos and then come back and realize that there is a blocked hole that you can't get through. Every once in a while, I will find a checkmate bead that literally the hole's not there. It has one hole on the 2-hole bar rather than 2-hole. Keep those beads to the side, practice reaming out, see if you can get it. If it breaks, it breaks. And you can actually use them as kind of trial beads for how the finish is going to rub off. So think about the investment you have in each bead, whether or not it's worth it, whether or not you want to break it. Again, when it comes to gemstones and pearls, remember, if you cannot get the hole unclogged or something out really, really easily, you can soak it in some soapy water, see if you can get whatever is clogged in there out. But when you push through, you may actually break that porous material. Same thing with the glass. When you push through, it may actually break. So just be aware that while this little tulip tool is fantastic, there may be some times where you just can't get that hole unclogged. It's kind of like that sad thing when you go in, you figure, you know, the plunger's going to solve it. Every once in a while, you have to call the plumber or you have to get new supplies and replace the whole toilet. I have kids. We have done that multiple times, and it's kind of part of the process. When it comes to jewelry making, you don't want to get to the end and make sure that you don't have holes in the beads that you're working with. Check them at the start. Grab a little beading awl and kind of poke at that. Size 10 needle works really, really well as an additional tool to go through and kind of unblock that hole before you start getting started with your project. This issue comes up, and that's why I wanted to do a better beater on it, how to unclog those blocked bead holes. Remember, again, if you want to, you can give your suggestions, build up the community, and offer advice below in the comments. You can also share this video with some friends, as well as subscribe to this YouTube channel. You'll get regular updates from us here at Potomac Beads, as well as new product launches, new ideas, and new tutorials weekly. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Good luck with your clogged holes, and hopefully this taught you a little bit to be brave, be a little slow with it, and try to use that beading awl to get them out. Thanks so much, everybody, and have a great rest of your day.